cool things that we get to do here is we offer something called a community moment. And what it does is it gives one of you guys, part of our community, the chance to share a story, a thought, an idea. It gives the opportunity just to hear from someone. You don't really get platforms like that much anymore, and the internet does not count. So this week, our community moment is Joe Morgan. I asked a few questions to kind of just introduce him because he's a part of our community. And he owns Joe's Data Center, actually just downtown here, right? Close by. Joe's Data Center LLC. His hobbies are science and technology, computer and gaming, and debating philosophy and religion. I asked for 3 words to describe him. As a good free thinker and secularist, he said, "It's BS to describe yourself in 3 words." That's okay. Also, he said he could only come up with 1 word, and he said outspoken. And I said, if you had a warning label, what would it be? He said, "Don't take things personally, or I will offend you." Let's welcome Joe Morgan.
All right, good morning, all you fellow heretics. I definitely have a case of the procrastination blues, so unfortunately I'm hoping I can do this without just staring at the sheet the whole time, but you'll have to bear with me. I haven't done much public speaking. My name is Joe Morgan. I am a registered minister with the Universal Life Church. I've actually performed 1 wedding, and after I get done with my community moment here, for $5 a person, I'll absolve you of any sin you have. I think that came with it. I'm a little fuzzy on the details there, but let's see. So I'm not a registered minister. I would definitely say a better way of describing me would be more like an evangelical atheist.
Amen.
Yeah, there we go. Well, and I did want to be upfront about that because, there's still stigma about atheism that persists in the U.S. despite 200 years ago this country being founded as a secular nation. And even attending somewhere like here, I still feel that stigma when you say that you're an atheist. I don't think that I get any ill feeling back or anything like that because this is a very open group, but I did want to make sure that I came out and said where I stand on that. So I've been coming to Oasis for a little bit over a month now. I was really excited when I read about Oasis and the Kansas City Star. I was really excited to meet like-minded people, and as you mentioned, I like to debate religion and have meaningful philosophical discussions, and so I thought this would be a great opportunity for that. Something that often comes up when I'm having some of these discussions is this idea that good things stem from the church or religion itself. And I wanted to point out that when I see Oasis doing things like a blood drive or going to, I think it was Micah Ministries, that was called, and feeding people, I think it really contradicts that statement. In fact, I think it even kind of alludes that we should take it the opposite direction. And to do that, I'm going to quote Stephen Weinberg. And he says, "With or without," he's speaking about religion, "you have good people doing good things and evil people doing evil things. But for good people to do evil things, that takes religion." All right, so I'm going to kind of lay off on religion for a little bit. I've always believed in challenging statements that are presented without evidence. I know I just said I was going to do that, but this really isn't going down that road. Okay. My entire life, I've tried to understand how and why things work. And so, as you can imagine, this has led me to be a huge supporter of science. I find the scientific method is far more inspiring than any Bible verse that I've ever read. The scientific method encourages a critical view of the world by making educated guesses on only things that can be tested through experiment. It allows you to build upon previous knowledge, and it allows you to verify the accuracy of that information. It does this through experimentation, empirical evidence, and peer review. Someone who truly believes in science and the scientific method can get just as much joy or just as much happiness out of finding out that the hypothesis they had or the information they had was wrong as they do from finding out that it was correct. In fact, some of the biggest scientific discoveries have been made by mistake or in disproving a theory that they had. To quote Isaac Asimov, "The most exciting phrase to hear in science, the one that heralds new discoveries, is not eureka, but That's funny. And so that leads me to my main topic that I want to discuss today, which is this alarming trend for the misrepresentation of science. So to give you a couple of examples of ways that I believe that this is happening, let's say that you're a politician and that your party has taken a stance on global warming. The scientific literature, as well as the vast majority of all the scientists out there, are going to disagree with you. So in order to continue to push this political agenda, you're going to have no choice but to do things like compare a specific local weather event with, a long-term observed weather trend, or warming trend, excuse me. Senator Jim Einhoff, who is the Senate Chairman on Environment and Public Works, he recently tossed a snowball on the Senate floor to try to push across the point that it's cold outside. In fact, he said, very, very cold out, very unseasonable. This was trying to disprove long-term global trends. In fact, it ended up being one of the warmest days on record that he did this. Just not maybe where he was at locally, but let's see here. Senator Ted Cruz, who's a very vocal climate denier, used the phrase, "it's cold outside," as well, to deny science of global warming. And he was made the chairman of the subcommittee of space and science. And to me, this is very scary. That somebody who can so blatantly disregard what the scientists say can become the chairman of the subcommittee of space and science. In fact, just in the last week, he kind of got into a tiff with NASA about their funding because he says they're spending too much time focusing on Earth science and not enough on space science. And I don't know the guy's name from NASA who was there, but I found it very cool that his response was talking about, I think, the Kennedy space station. He said, it's hard for us to do space missions if the space station is underwater, if Kennedy Space Station is underwater. Which was a great response to that, yes. It's alarming to see the people who misrepresent science take such a strong stance against the scientific community and still get elected to these types of positions. I don't know if you've heard of Senator Marco Rubio, but he will chair the subcommittee on oceans, atmosphere, fisheries, and Coast Guard. And he can't be certain that the Earth is not 6,000 years old, saying, "I'm not a scientist." Well, I'm sorry, but like Senator Marco Rubio, most of us are not scientists. But that does not change the fact that we can still believe in the scientific method and the ways that these scientists come up with these overwhelming agreement inside the scientific community. So, to back a little way farther away from the political things, this one tends to be something that is a little bit more party neutral. Both parties disagree on it. I'm going to talk about another kind of hot topic, which is genetically modified foods. So only 40% of adults believe that genetically modified foods are safe. That's almost a 50% difference from the 90% of scientists that stand behind genetically modified foods. So why is it that so many people so strongly disagree with the predominant scientists in that field? Well, I believe, especially in an age where information is so readily available and accurate. I mean, you can go online and find anything out about anything, and so it's surprising. But I believe that information the internet is part of the problem because it's so easy to spread misinformation online, to present opinion pieces as factual, and for news sources that lack the journalistic integrity to present information in an unbiased way. So I think an article about Frankenfood, which is obviously going to try to be a scare tactic, it can be more popular than a 2,000+ study showing that genetically modified foods are safe, if not safer than their non-modified counterparts. The other problem is that news outlets can host a debate and have two scientists that stand there and have opposing views and act like those two scientists have equal weight and equal share, even though the vast majority of all science and scientific literature and everything will support one person over the other. When they put just two people up there, it really paints a very biased picture that there's two sides to a story when really there isn't in science. So I strongly urge people to approach everything with skepticism, rational thought, and an open mind. I'm assuming those are the same things that have led you here to Oasis. I encourage people to use reliable sources such as Wikipedia, and always watch out for people who are trying to present opinion as fact. Even in major news outlets, this is a problem. I actually personally use Google News. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but one of the things that's really nice is they actually will mark when things are opinion, when pieces are opinion. It also gives you the ability to go in and customize it so you can, if there's a certain news outlet that always tends to have the opinion pieces or have poor literature, you can actually mark them to not show up on your news feed. But no matter what, always look critically at the message and the evidence being presented. Thank you for your time, and may you all be touched by his newly appended ramen.